Welcome once again to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. So happy to have you with us. I'm Tom, and as always, I'm here with my lovely wife, Michelle.
Thank you, baby. Hello, everybody.
So good to have you with us. And for the first time ever, we actually have a studio audience with us.
Yay!
We have a few of our Hyperion adventurers here with us. We're having a good old time today because we are having a Mickey party,
That's
a D23 Mickey party.
Official Disney Fan Club Mickey party.
Yes. That's right, yes. Mickey's birthday is coming up here in just a couple months, and the parks are starting to kick off some birthday celebrations, so we thought we'd do the same thing. So that's what we got the group together here today. A little Mickey food, a little Mickey drink, and a lot of Mickey fun is going to be had here today. So thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate you being here with us. And we may be hearing from them as the show goes on.
That's right. Hope so.
Just here to be bored by us today. Anyway, we're so glad you're here with us today. If you're not in the studio, wherever you're listening to us, we're happy you're with us. We are recording this, and this is something actually OG Hyperion Adventure Ryan suggested I do every episode. We're recording this on Sunday, September 23rd, 2018, so you know when we're recording this, because we don't know when you actually might listen to this. Hopefully it's new pretty soon after we record it, but it could be months away. But just so you know, when these stories come down that we talk about and some of our tips and everything, gives you a frame of reference. But that's when we're recording this. We're glad you found us here today. You can find us in the future on 1057max.com. If you want to look for us, we're under the Max Plus tab. You can also find us on the Max FM app. You can also find us on SoundCloud. We're on Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play Music. You can subscribe to us right there. We'll come right to your phone or device. You'll know when we have a new episode every week, so you don't have to wonder about it. It'll announce it right to you, so you can find us right away. And please, if you get a chance, it really would help us so much if you can just give us a quick little rating. If you even have a little more time, a little review, really helps people that love Disney like you do and might like this podcast find us that much easier.
Right, and it gives us some feedback, too, to know what things you like so that we can make our adjustments to make sure we're hitting everybody's needs or wants.
Absolutely. We're hoping that you're going to give us a 5-star review and a raving rating and everything. But, yeah, we appreciate criticism, critiques. If there's any way we can make this better, we'd like to hear it.
Right. Or even just ideas.
Yes. Or if you just want to say hi, we'd like to hear it. And speaking of just saying hi, we want this to be an interactive show. So you can contact us on Twitter. We're at Hyperion Podcast. Facebook and Instagram at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. You can email us, HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com. And yes, besides the Max.com website, we also have our own website. It's HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. You can leave us a little comment there if you like.
Right. And we love hearing from some of you all. Have already started sending us some things to either talk about or ask questions about it. So it's great to hear from people.
Yeah, like I said, Ryan here before, he's asked us questions. Patty over here has asked us some questions before. We've had lots of input from lots of our listeners, and we really appreciate it every single time. But let's not hesitate any longer. Let's get to our main topic of the day. We already talked about it a little bit. It is a Mickey party. We're having a Mickey party today, and that's to celebrate the leader of the gang that's made for you and me, MICKEYMOUSC. That's right. We're celebrating Mickey's 90th birthday a little bit early. His actual birthday is November 18th. That's when he actually turns 90. But we decided, hey, let's kick it off a little early. Let's get the celebrating started. And the parks are already doing that, so we should probably do that as well. So we thought we'd kick it off with a few facts about Mickey Mouse that you probably know, or maybe you don't know.
Right.
So we're going to go through a few things that are of interest of our favorite mouse. And I see you're wearing your Mickey Mouse shirt.
I am, and you too.
Yes, and I see many others are wearing Mickey around the room, although Ryan's wearing Grumpy, which is kind of fitting for Ryan. I get it. It's okay. I get it. I have a Grumpy shirt at home too, and I'm in that mood quite often, actually, as you well know, Michelle.
I think I bought you this shirt.
Yeah. So let's get off to our facts about Mickey Mouse. When the rights for Walt Disney's first big character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, were taken from him, he needed to find a new character. How he was going to find this new character? What was he going to do? he looked back at an inspiration he got from a pet mouse he had as a child. And he decided this might be the next great character. So in 1928, Walt came up with this new star. At first, he was going to call him Mortimer. Mortimer Mouse. His wife, Lily, wasn't really crazy about the name Mortimer. It's a little shaky. I'm not so full of it. So she changed it to Mickey. Mortimer, the name actually became Mickey's rival in some of the animated shorts.
Oh, that's right.
And it was said in one of his shorts, he was Minnie's ex-boyfriend. So no wonder he was Mickey's rival.
Right.
Mickey debuted his first appearance in a short in Plain Crazy was his actual first movie. Most people think it's Steamboat Willie. No, Plain Crazy was the first short that he appeared in. The first one with widespread release was Steamboat Willie in 1928. And that's what's considered Mickey's actual birthday was released. Do
you know the name of the second movie?
I don't have that here. What is it?
It is The Galloping Gaucho.
No. Gaucho?
Gaucho.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice. Gaucho?
Right. Gaucho. Yes. And that was like with Plain Crazy, it was a very limited release. They couldn't get the distribution up until Steamboat Willie came along.
So Steamboat Willie, 1928. It was one of the first sound cartoons. He's gone on since then to appear in over 130 films, Mickey has. And we see him all the time in the parks and on the cruise line and everywhere. Mickey, we love Mickey so much. Mickey's actual name. Do you know Mickey's actual name? His full name.
No, I don't.
Mickey's actual name is Michael Theodore Mouse.
Wow. Good to know. I can't believe after all this
amazing
time,
the
didn't
thing
know.
when you're researching what you find out. I had no
sure
idea that his name was
accurate?
Michael. No, I don't. I'm not sure. It's the internet. I got it from the internet. Let's face it, that couldn't be really false and somebody's just completely fooled me.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
All right. So we know that Steamboat Willie was the first with sound, but Mickey actually didn't speak in that one.
Yes. I know the answer to this.
Do you? You don't know the question.
I think I have it here in my notes.
Okay, well, maybe you do. What was his first words?
Anybody? Any guesses? Anybody? Hot dogs.
That's right.
His first word were hot dogs in the 1929's Carnival Kid. And of course, hot dog became one of his catchphrases that he would use regularly, making hot dog.
Well, I have a joke for you.
Oh boy.
What do you call?
This is I know this joke. This is our son Scott's favorite joke.
Right.
This is his favorite joke.
What do you call Pluto when he gets too close to the campfire?
He should be in here to answer this
I know.
for us because he does it great. Hot dog.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes. Mickey was based, Walt said that Mickey was based on Charlie Chaplin. Just kind of for Mickey's mannerisms, he wanted to take it off of Charlie Chaplin. Walt was the voice of Mickey for many years, up until 1947 when Jimmy McDonald took over as the second voice of Mickey. I believe there have been 5 voices of Mickey up to this point right now. People have always wondered why Mickey wears white gloves. Anybody have any guesses why Mickey wears white gloves and why many of the characters wear white gloves? Do you know why Mickey wears white gloves? Anybody else have any idea? They put gloves on him. He didn't appear in his first couple movies with white gloves. They put white gloves on him so his hands would stand out against his body. Because if you put his hands black on black, it wouldn't stand out. When you put the white gloves on, they would stand out so you can really see him moving and gesticulating and such. And so that's why he wears white gloves. The band concert from 1935 is the first cartoon where Mickey appeared in color. Before that, it was all black and white.
Oh, wow. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah?
Yes. We have it playing at our...
That's right, our Mickey party outside.
Mickey party.
We have some food. We'll be posting some pictures online. We have food. We have some cartoons playing in the background. It's a lot of fun. Do you have any more facts on Mickey?
I do. I have a couple here. Let's see. So Mickey Mouse made his first debut appearance in the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade in 1934. Mm-hmm. He measured 40 feet tall. And
that's a big mouse.
That is a big mouse.
That is a big mouse.
And the balloon was hand painted.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was guided by men and women dressed as Mickey Mouse.
Oh, was it the more modern Mickey Mouse look, or is it some of the kind of the first characters that you'd see at the park that were a little...
Really. I know. Yes. And we move on.
All right. So people know that Mickey and Minnie are a couple, but they never really talked about in the cartoons what their relationship actually is. Well, Walt has told us. Do you have this note by any chance?
I do.
You want to read it, or do you want me to go?
No, you can do that one.
Mickey and Minnie are actually married. Walt has established that. In an interview in 1933, he said, in his private life, Mickey is married to Minnie. What it really amounts to is that Minnie is, for screen purposes, his leading lady. So they never actually they never got married on the screen, but Walt, in his mind, always said that Mickey and Minnie are a married couple.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yay.
In 1978, Mickey became the first animated character to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And now there's many characters on there, including Minnie. Last time I was there, I walked right by Minnie's star out there on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's right. Do you know the only animated movie featuring Mickey Mouse to win an Academy Award?
I feel like
There's
I know
only
this,
been one.
but
Surprising as that may be.
Yeah. I can't think of it.
It is not Fantasia.
Oh, good guess, though.
It's
That's
not
a great
Fantasia.
guess.
It's a short. I will say that. You probably won't get it. It wasn't even Mickey Mouse as the star of this one. He was kind of a side character in it.
Wow.
It was in 1941. It's an animated short, won Best Animated Short Academy Award. It was Lend a Paw, which features Pluto. Mickey just kind of plays the side character in this to Pluto's craziness. And you know what craziness Pluto brings? He's one of my favorites. I love Pluto.
All right. So it's my turn?
Your turn.
All right. So when Walt was contemplating a name for Disneyland Park, before he decided on Disneyland Park, he had another name that he was considering. Do you know what that was?
Mickey Mouse Land?
Pretty close. Mickey Mouse Village.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
He decided he wanted to keep it more than just about Mickey, even though we all know it all started with a mouse.
That's right. That's his quote.
Yep.
That's the quote from Walt. Yep.
You have another one?
I do. I have one more because I knew you did a lot of research, so I thought, let me see if I can find some that you might not know. Who was the sole animator for Mickey Mouse in Plain Crazy?
Ooh, was it Walt?
No.
I don't know.
And I know I always say his name wrong. Ub Iwerk.
Okay.
And he was doing an estimated 700 drawings per day for the film. And some of them, they were it was a secret project for Walt. So he tried to do it where other people couldn't do it. Sometimes they were even he was even doing the drawings in Walt's garage.
Wow.
To keep it top secret.
Wow. And that's back then was back when he was in the Hyperion Studios, by the way, which is where our show gets its name from. Just to pass that along. We've talked about that on a past episode. But yeah, that's where we get our name, the Hyperion Adventures podcast, is from the Hyperion Studios, where Walt first made Mickey and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, for that matter. A couple more facts about Mickey. Well, one more fact, and then I want to get into an interesting story to kind of break it down. Mickey is known for his iconic look, of course, the red shorts, yellow shoes, but he has actually worn over 175 different outfits in films through his time. Of course, ever stylish Minnie has him beat. She has over 200 outfits, which shouldn't shock anybody, I don't think.
No.
So,
styling.
Yes. I want to finish our Mickey segment here with one more story. And this is going to be a little spoiler for some people, specifically if you're going to do the Keys to the Kingdom tour at the Magic Kingdom Park. So if you don't want to hear this story, you want to wait for going on that tour and hear it there, fast forward about 3-4 minutes here. And we'll catch back up with you, Ryan. This is our favorite story. About Mickey, but it's also about Walt, and it's also about Roy Disney, and it's about Walt Disney World. It's my favorite story. I know you love this story.
I do.
As you probably know, Walt passed away in 1966 while he was planning the Walt Disney World Resort. His brother Roy Disney came out of retirement to help complete the planning after Walt passed away. When it came time for the park's opening, this was in 1971, Roy was scheduled to speak, but that really wasn't his thing. He was a money guy. He was a behind-the-scenes guy. Walt was always the face. He was the only person that was out in front of everybody. So he wasn't crazy about being the guy that is going to go out there and open up this park and speak. So Roy asked for this one thing to happen so he can make it through his opening speech. He asked for Mickey Mouse to stand by his side. It's a famous picture out there. You can find it online. You can find it everywhere where Roy's there doing his speech, opening up the Magic Kingdom Park at the Walt Disney World Resort. Mickey wasn't scheduled to be there. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't do anything. He just stands by Roy's side. And Roy said that he felt more comfortable having Mickey there because it was like having Walt, his brother, next to him, because that's how close they felt the two were, that Mickey was Walt, Walt was Mickey, and that story.
Yeah, I was glad you did it, because I would have been choked up the whole time trying to say it. So
yeah,
you did great.
We did the tour, and you stop at this picture, and you're staring at it, and the tour guide tells you that story, and there was not a dry eye in the house. It's an amazing story, an amazing story. So that's it. That's our celebration of Mickey. Just a quick little go. We're still going to go party out in the back once we get done with this podcast. We're partying as the podcast goes on, but we're just kicking off the celebrations. There's going to be celebrations going on for the next few months until the birthday, on through next year. There's going to be plenty of celebrations out in the parks, on the cruise line. I know we talked about a couple episodes, lots of stuff scheduled. And I've got a couple things here that I'm going to talk about next in our Disney stories of the week. Do you have one more thing you want to say about Mickey?
I think that wraps it up nicely.
Yeah, it was. We love Mickey Mouse, and
we do.
He's our favorite. We see him every time. We get so excited.
Right,
so.
And I'm ready to go get another Mickey Mouse sandwich out there.
Yes, we have Mickey Mouse grilled cheese sandwiches out there. We brought our little Mickey Mouse grilled cheese press. We've been enjoying those along with. Right. Oh, we also have the new Mickey Mouse birthday celebration Oreos.
That's right, with the limited edition the Oreos.
Birthday cake filling, and they're delicious. So. I guess we just advertise for Oreo, so we'll expect a check in the mail any time now. Let's get to our Disney stories of the week. If you don't know, if this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, we usually go from a main topic, and then we go through Disney stories of the week, and then we'll eventually end up on our tips for you on your next vacation, possibly. There's always so many stories every week. We can't possibly get into all of them, but we try and get to a few. And by the way, if you have any stories that you'd like us to talk about or that you think would be of interest to us, please feel free to send them to us. I went over all our ways you can contact us at the beginning. I'll go over them again at the end. But let's get to the Disney stories of the week. And we'll start with some park news. There's new experiences coming to the Walt Disney World Resort in 2019. This straight out of the Disney Parks blog. And this starts on January 18th. I'm just going to list a few of them. They actually listed 19 new things that are happening or different things, but I'm just going to get to a few of the ones that I thought were the most important. Talking about Mickey's birthday, and actually they're also celebrating Minnie because she started off about the same time he did. Even though we're talking about more of a celebration of Mickey, Minnie is right there with him. In honor of the true originals, this is straight from the Disney Parks blog, Mickey and Minnie Mouse, Mickey and Minnie's surprise celebration will bring new music, dancing, and all sorts of other fun to the Magic Kingdom Park. So,
oh, can't wait to check that out.
Lots of stuff to look forward to. For starters, there'll be the new version of the Move It, Shake It, and now it's going to be Move It, Shake It, Mouse Cadance It. Street party, which is always going to be fun. That's a fun party to get out there.
That is a great interactive party.
Just during the day, everybody gets out there, has a good time. They'll invite you to dance with Mickey and Minnie and his pals in front of Cinderella Castle and shake it along with the singers belting out new arrangements of the classic Mickey Mouse Club songs.
Nice.
So that'll be a lot of fun. The Dapper Dans, which I actually can say here because I wrote it down last week. I blanked on it. It was the weirdest thing. I love the Dapper Dans. I blanked on it. Dapper Dans and other entertainers will be performing on Main Street, USA at the Magic Kingdom Park, and we'll be singing songs in honor of Mickey and Minnie. And you can look for Mickey and Minnie themed merchandise and food. Not surprising. We're going to get a little extra stuff out of this. This is a surprise celebration, what they say. This is straight, again, from the Disney Parks blog. Surprise celebration, after all, so expect new stuff to come out as the year progresses.
Oh,
new
cool.
events. So that's exciting. That's fun. Other things that are going on in other parks at Disney World. The Incredibles are coming to Disney's Hollywood Studios as Pixar Place will transform into Municipalburg City Block. At the end of the block, a party will be held in honor of Mr. Incredible, Mrs. Incredible, and Frozone to celebrate their super deeds. And there'll also be a character meetup with your favorite Edna Mode.
Yes, darling. No capes. No capes. I wish people could see you, though. You're so animated when you're doing this. It's great.
I got people, they're watching me.
I know.
We got a crowd here. That's what's great about it. We got a studio audience. First time ever. I can barely look at them. Don't look at me. Moving on. More about some of the festivals that are coming to Epcot Center that they have every year. Yes, they're going to have a couple of their festivals they've had. Of course, the Food and Wine, as always, will be back. But they're also going to have the Festival of Arts will be back this year. It'll be taking place from January 18th through February 25th, allowing you to indulge in world-class culinary skills, visual and performing arts. The Disney on Broadway concert series is expanding this year, which makes it a lot of fun. They did that last year. That was a lot of fun. Now they're moving it fully to 7 days a week during the Festival of Arts. So you'll be able to have more opportunities to see some of the favorite people straight off of Broadway performing Disney songs and such. It really is a great experience.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a good time last year. It was a really nice.
Yeah.
It was our first time doing that. It's pretty new.
That was a blast. I mean, love that. And also another one that we love so much is the Epcot International Flower and Garden Festival returning, and that'll be March 6th through June 3rd. It has, of course, a lot of great food, outdoor kitchens. The topiaries and all the flowers and the way the garden stuff they put up is amazing.
Yes, there's nothing like it.
It is fantastic. It's one of our favorite things. They're also expanding the Garden Rocks concert series. A lot of great bands go out there and perform, and they say they're going to have, this is going to be a 90-day event. They're going to be over 270 concerts there.
Wow.
Some of them
That's
will be,
awesome.
I'm sure, will be bands
Right.
Others will be, smaller bands, but still lots of great music to go along with lots of great food and everything. And the funny thing about those dates is that we booked a trip for next year. We're thinking, okay, we're going to get it for the Flower and Garden Festival. We're going to get there right at the beginning. It usually starts right around the end of February, right at the beginning of March. No, our dates, and after these release these dates this week, it falls. We get there the day after the Arts Festival ends, and we leave like 2 days before the Flower and Garden Festival begins. So good timing by us.
Yes,
so we may have to arrange a change in that. So.
Yes, we'll give it a shot, but it's always fun there.
Oh,
but it's great to see some of these different festivities that they have, because then you get to try different foods and wines and beers.
Oh,
and
we've
things
made days just walking through, just through Epcot and just trying different small plates of food.
Right.
There was what was that maple bacon beer that you had?
Yeah.
This maple bacon stout that you had last year. That was delicious.
Best.
Yeah.
It was the best.
All sorts
Which
of fun
is why I
stuff,
wanted to go again.
Yes. Just for that beer.
Mainly.
It was that good.
It was
and
that
you can't
good.
find it. It's like, it wasn't a Florida brewery. You can't find it any place else.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, I digress. Moving on to our next story of the week, and this one's an interesting one, and it's been rumored for a little while, but it actually was announced this week. Illuminations, Reflections of Earth is ending after the summer of 2019, so after next year.
Right, I've seen a lot of things about that.
I think it's been speculated on for a while now. We saw some stories that they're doing some work on some things around there, kind of upgrading some things with the thought that maybe this might be a new show coming there. Well, that looks like what's going to happen. According to Disney Parks blog again, after nearly 20 years of delighting Epcot guests through music, fireworks, fire torches. Those fire torches are great sometimes.
Especially,
at night.
When it's really cold.
And more. It's so rare that it's cold in Florida, but when it is, those are great. It will be ending at the end of summer next year. We'll continue on. So if you still want a chance to see it, if you've grown up, watching this show, if you've seen it for so long, if you love this show, you still have another little less than a year to go check it out. It'll be replaced by a brand new show. Don't know the name of that yet, but it is expected to keep the Illuminations name to it. So what they're thinking, and this is according to Orlando Weekly, the rumors are it may be titled Illuminations, Windows on the World.
Ooh.
So look for an upgrade. And I think, I know everybody loves Illuminations, and it was groundbreaking when it started. I thought it kind of lost its luster over the last several years. It wasn't one of my favorite shows anymore, and I'm probably really upsetting some people out there, I mean, I still like it, but it wasn't one of my favorites. I thought it could use a little polishing up.
Right.
I'm glad to kind of see something interesting happen, but I'm also glad that we get to see it one last time.
Sure. And their holiday one is still spectacular.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, you have about a year to go check that out. So just get out there and take advantage of that. Also, another park at Walt Disney World Resort, Disney's Animal Kingdom, is starting a new guided adventure, and they announced it yesterday based on National Rhino Day. Starting on November 1st, you'll have the chance to do a new backstage animal experience up close with rhinos. That sounds a little scary to me.
It does.
Up close with rhinos.
Well, hey, if you're going to do it at Disney.
I guess. That'd be the safest place,
Right.
I guess. This is, again, from the Disney Parks blog. The 60-minute guided adventure will give guests a behind-the-scenes look at how their dedicated animal team cares for the white rhinos on Kilimanjaro safaris and how Disney is helping to save endangered rhinos in the wild. And as part of this intimate experience, guests may even have a chance to touch a rhino, as long as it's not touching them with that horn. Okay?
Yeah, right?
I can think of it. There's only one tour per day, so if you're interested in this, you probably want to make a reservation for it. It's $40 per person. There are discounts for annual pass holders and Disney Vacation Club members, so you might want to jump on that. Reservations are open now if you're thinking about taking advantage of this new tour.
Cool, and that's actually a pretty great price.
Yeah, $40.
Yeah.
Not much for a guided
considering
tour.
most of their tours are a lot more. That's awesome.
And with a discount if you're an annual pass holder or a Disney Vacation Club member. I didn't see what the discount is, but it's got to knock $5 off of it.
Sure.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Moving on to some Disney movie news. Well, technically Disney movie news. This is Star Wars movie news. Bob Iger this week says they're going to begin slowing the production of Star Wars films. I think that's probably a good thing.
Right.
In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the Disney CEO acknowledged that they may have burned out fans by releasing so many movies so close together. I think the biggest thing was that they released Solo so close to The Last Jedi.
Right.
If they had spaced it out, if it was coming out this December as opposed to it come out in, May or June,
Right.
maybe that might have been enough space. Still, the idea is let's go for quality over quantity, and I think that's an important thing.
Right. It makes sense, and it's good that they were listening to their fan base. And I know there were a lot of negative fans out there, which was sad, but at least I think some people were bringing out some very constructive criticism that wasn't trying to really bash anything that Star Wars or
Most people
Lucasfilms were doing.
Some are a little loud
Right.
and obnoxious, but most people are just giving them some constructive criticism.
Right.
Iger said, I think that the mistake that I made, and he said, I take the blame, was that it was a little too much, too fast. You can expect some slowdown. Doesn't mean we're going to not make the films, but I think we're going to be a little bit more careful about the volume and timing. So that's good. I think a lot of people missed out on Solo. Solo wasn't, like we've discussed it. We enjoyed it. It wasn't the greatest Star Wars film
It's just
ever.
a fun movie.
But it was fun. And I think that some people, there was so much bad press and burnout, that people didn't see it when they could have in the theater. And I think that some people that are Star Wars fans missed out on maybe having an enjoyable time at the theater. And like I said, it's not the greatest Star Wars movie, but it's a fun movie.
Interestingly, one of the greatest ones, though, I think a lot of people missed out too, was on Rogue One. Yeah. I think a lot of people, again, it was
that one did okay though. That one did fine at the box office.
It did okay, but when you talk to a lot of people, that's if they're missing one, that's one that they're missing also.
Interesting. But yeah, so now, they've talked about, they're going to bring out an Obi-Wan, a Boba Fett, all these movies. I think they're going to pump the brakes a little bit and focus on, let's make sure that these movies are good and we'll space them out a little more. And that's probably a good thing. So I think we both agree with that.
Absolutely.
That action. Moving on to television now, and Disney's new streaming service is coming out next year. The news this week came out that they're going to have some Marvel series coming on there, and they're going to be based on some of the Avengers side characters that you may know and may love or may not. But it looks like they're going to be looking at series based on Loki and Scarlet Witch as a couple of stories, and possibly some other characters as well to kind of get this streaming service off. And they say that they are going to star Tom Hiddleston as Loki.
Wow.
And Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch.
Nice.
At least that's what the expectation is.
Right.
No writers or directors have been announced as of yet. But according to Variety, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige would have a hand in developing the programs.
Nice.
So, of course, Disney streaming looks to take a big chunk out of that market. And so they're trying to develop their own stuff now and their own series. And it makes sense to have something like that, a little more adventure into the Marvel world.
Right.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hitting more audience than just
And once they add the 21st Century Fox characters
Right.
over, the X-Men, Fantastic Four and such, we'll see what happens with
Right.
that. So that's it for my Disney stories of the week. I hear, Michelle, you might have a story for us as well?
I do. I have a little story. It's not about Mickey, but kind of reflecting on our last podcast, which was about Mary Poppins Returns. And so last week, published in Mashable, UK, they reported that Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, my favorite.
I know. That's why I did this. He was visited at Shepperton Studios regarding his role in Mary Poppins Returns. Now, interestingly, when he was first approached by Rob Marshall and John DeLuca about the role in Mary Poppins Return, he was still performing Hamilton.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
He was probably still, because when he was in Hamilton, he was also writing the music for Moana as well.
Oh, that's right. Yes. So they approached him and talked to him about playing the role of the lamplighter, which he admitted that he didn't know what that meant. But then he considered his role in the play In the Heights, which he wrote. And he explained, and I'm quoting this, I played a guy named Usnavi, and the central metaphor from that was he was the street lighter in that neighborhood. He says this character struggled with the notion that he was stuck there, but he realized that it's his job to shine light on those stories and on his corner. And because of that, Miranda admitted that the role of Jack felt very close to home for him.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And he said the great parallel of the narrator, Usnavi, with Jack the lamplighter. And as we've discussed before, this guy was so insightful, right? And so there's more to this interview.
Okay.
All right. And I know you're going to love this next
Oh,
part.
boy.
Okay.
That's coming from Lynn. I'm going to love it.
Yes. So Lynn admitted that the original Mary Poppins movie was on a regular rotation in his childhood home. He said he wore out Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and Jolly Holiday. But he admitted that he did not see the end of the movie for many years because he would burst into tears at the birds.
Oh.
I know. He went on and said that, and I quote, I was like, turn it off.
I know you felt that way for a long time.
Yes.
But that song always broke your heart every time you'd watch.
Oh, yes. And even more so once knowing the story of after Walt passed away, and that, the Sherman Brothers would go still play that song in his office every Friday, at the end of the day. It was super touching.
Yeah.
So one more quote from Lin-Manuel Miranda is, he said, you could dream of maybe being on Broadway someday. You could dream of writing a show. There are dreams that you don't even have the audacity to have, like that there would be a sequel to Mary Poppins and that you could be dancing with Mary Poppins someday. Who would have the audacity to have that dream? So it's another amazing Lin-Manuel bit of information that, makes us thrilled that he is now part of the Disney family. And, it was just great to hear some of the touching things that he talked about Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah, he always has so much passion in everything he does. Everything he does, you can always see it whenever he talks about it.
Right.
It's his favorite thing from right now.
Exactly.
And it's my next favorite thing. And then he really enjoys it. And we saw that. And we talked about it last week. We got to see that number, Triple Little Light Fantastic,
Right.
in our little extended sneak peek we saw last week. And it was him singing, and it was fantastic. It was straight out of the original Mary Poppins, although it looked very new, very fresh.
Right.
Yes, he was dancing with Mary, with Emily Blunt. And I know we are just like, we wish it was coming out tomorrow because it really made it exciting for us.
Exactly. But I loved how he also, paralleled the characters together of one that he's actually written for. So that was kind of really cool.
Yeah.
Cool article.
That's cool. And everything from Lynn's cool.
I know.
It's my man crush speaking
Okay,
right
back
there.
to the podcast.
Yeah, all right, sorry. Little days, Lynn. Anyway.
Reel it in.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, back to this. Okay, well, that's good reason why I'll have you do your tip first, because I need to take a moment now.
I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Gotta clear my mind of Lynn for a little bit.
Go get a glass of champagne out there and come back in.
So, as we said before, we always close out our show every week with our tips of the week. So we always find something to talk about, whether it be if you're going to the parks, whether it be Disneyland Resort or the Walt Disney World Resort, whether it be Disney Cruise Line, whether it be Run Disney, Disney Vacation Club, whatever. We try and find some way to help you on your next vacation. And so we give you a tip every week, one from each of us, but we always start with Michelle because one, she's fantastic, and
You're
two,
so sweet.
she always gives the best tips.
The pressure is always on.
Nah.
So this tip came out of a dialogue that you and I were having regarding crowds and, the anticipation.
That was a dialogue, all right.
That's politically correct. Right?
Yeah.
We had strong feelings
Yes.
towards our perceptions, but
It wasn't like that.
No, I know it was just funny how we were like debating crowds at Disney World, which is
Which is
really
silly.
why.
Why?
But anyways, so using that as my inspiration for this week's tips is how to avoid the crowds at the Disney parks. So if you have flexibility and you can avoid those times of year when school is out, that's your best option. Then you'll have, whether you're talking summertime, spring breaks, Easter holidays, or Christmas holidays, and Thanksgiving times. Those are really peak times, obviously. So if you can go any other time that it's not that, then you'll have your most opportunity to get a lot out of the parks. But if you can't, then second option is try to go at a time earliest, like of when the summer season starts. So some schools do get out in May. So if you can go in May, you're going to be hitting a lot less crowds than if you go into July. And the same thing for early June. The earlier you can go of that time period, the better. And your third option, if you really don't have any flexibility in your schedule, you have kids, you really want to make sure they're in school, and so you have to go, for example, in the middle of the summer or in the middle of the holiday season, is do some things to make your day use the best use of your time. So first off is start early in the morning. If you can do rope drop, do that, because it's obviously the crowds haven't built up at that point in time. If it's in the summertime and it's raining, stick it out. Bring your poncho, umbrellas, and stay there, because the crowds really do thin out while there's
Bring that poncho.
That's right.
It'll serve you well.
Right. Otherwise, if it's not raining and the crowds are still there and it's middle of the day, then take a midday break. Go back to your resort, have a chance to cool down, take a nap if you have kids there and everything, and then return back in the evening and start over with, renewed energy, because also during that time is when the parks stay open very late, usually till midnight, and so you have that opportunity to regain some of your energy to go back out and hit some of the parks with it, again, less crowded as the evening goes on. So that's my tip, how to try to avoid some of the crowds. But I do also want to put a little plug in. It's not too late to think about going out there for the holiday season, especially the beginning part of December. And again, I know that's not when people who have kids and going to school are able to really get out there, but that is a great time. And I did check online, and there's still a lot of wonderful resort availability for that. So that's the tip. Try to avoid the crowds, and if you can't, how to manage the parks at the peak times that you can get the most time in the parks to get everything you want done there.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about some of the holiday stuff in an upcoming episode well before Christmas. Yes,
Right.
Ryan?
What is rope drop?
Oh,
Rope drop is when the
question.
park opens. If you go to...
Magic hour?
it's not the magic hour. No, magic hour is something different. Rope drop is when you go there, say it opens up at 8 o'clock in the morning. You can usually get in through the gates of the park, and they'll take you to an area. Usually it's at the end of the main street. They do have the shops open, so of course, anytime you can go shopping, they're going to give you that opportunity. But at the end of that, before you get into the lands, there'll usually actually be a rope there or some sort of line there that they will hold people back from. Rope drop is actually at that time, 8 o'clock, where they open up that land and you can go in to these areas at Magic Kingdom Park. They do actually a rope drop show,
right?
With some of the characters out there to kind of perform before you begin.
Right. Yeah, so you have to get there. Right.
It's not easy, especially.
It isn't easy.
Yeah, it's especially going to the East Coast. It's not easy if you're going from the West Coast to the East Coast to be out there at what is 5 a.m. your body time, and then to get the kids hustled up and everything else. It's not an easy thing to do, but when you can do it, it's real, especially as it gets to this, if you're in the summer months, and let's just face it, Florida is hot 11 months out of the year. So if you can be there, earlier it's a little cooler, and then later it's a little cooler. So not only are you benefiting from the crowd size, but you're also benefiting from the heat index as well.
That's true. But rope drop is really great. It's just a very exciting time because everybody is like anxious to get in, and usually they'll do like either a song and or a little speech, maybe quoting Walt or something like that. And like Tom mentioned, at the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, they have a wonderful show on the stage where the castle is. And I know before that they used to do it at the train station. And it's really just a great, you just feel so wonderful when you do see that, because it just kind of, you instantly leave your normal world behind and you're starting the magic with them. And, I don't want to do any spoilers. It's just really a fun thing to do. And I would totally recommend it. Even if it's in a time of year that it's not that busy, it's still a great little way to start your day.
And the best thing about it is that you can get on a lot of attractions really quickly when you get there at rope drop, because of the fact that you're talking about, Ryan, where people do have the struggles getting out to the park, even if they have the intention of being out there at rope drop. It's not an easy thing to do, especially at the Walt Disney World Resort, where there's transportation involved, there's everything else. It can be difficult to get there. So if you are there at rope drop, there's far, far fewer people there. You can usually get on some of the big attractions, boom, 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 knock them out, and you got those done at the beginning of the day. And then you can move on, slow down, take a more leisurely pace as you move along.
Right. Save your fast passes for later.
That's right.
When it's busier.
That's right. So good question.
Yeah.
We always assume people know what rope drop is, but obviously,
it's
just something we just talk about just to some, but we shouldn't assume anything like that.
Right.
So. My tip of the week, that was a great tip, by the way,
Thank
Michelle, and something that we put into use quite often.
Right.
And we will be doing it with our family this summer, as a matter of fact, when we're taking them out to Walt Disney World for the first time in June.
Right.
My tip of the week, I'm going to go back to where we started the show, and that's characters. I'm going to start with, obviously we talked a lot about Mickey, and we talked a little about Minnie, and even a little about Pluto. And Mortimer, although Mortimer. But I'm going to talk about when you go to the parks, some of the best ways to meet characters. Now, there's obviously the easy ones. If you want, the best way to meet a lot of characters is to go to a character meal.
Right.
Okay. Disneyland Resort. I'm going to speak specifically because it's my specialty more than you are. More great at Walt Disney World. I've been growing up and going there. I'm better at Disneyland Resort. The best way to do it real quickly is just to go to some of the character meals if you have the money and you have the time. You can go to the Minnie and Friends breakfast in the park. That's at the Plaza Inn. Minnie and a lot of other great characters there. And it's also, if you book the earliest time, you can actually get into the park earlier than rope drop.
Right.
So that's a great way to do it. Some other places you can do, that's the only place right now currently in either of the parks at the Disneyland Resort where you can do it in the park is that one. But you can do it at some of the hotels. There's the Mickey's Tales of Adventure Breakfast Buffet. That's at Storytellers Cafe at the Disney's Grand Californian. That's the only one where you can actually meet Mickey at the meal. So just to let you know that. Goofy's Kitchen at the Disneyland Hotel is the only one that not only offers breakfast, but they also offer dinner character meals there. So if you're interested in that, and there's Donald Duck's Seaside Breakfast at that's at the PCH Grill at the Disney's Paradise Pier Hotel. Those are the easy ways, but that costs money. But you will get a lot of characters in a short amount of time. Plus, you get a meal, so it's not bad. Some other places, the easiest way to find out where you can meet characters at the resort is, of course, the app, the Disneyland app. You can go right on there. They'll tell you where all the characters are, when they're going to be there, where you can find them. Here's just to go over them. Just to give you a general synopsis of where you can find them. The Fab Five, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy. You can normally find them in the Rotunda area, just past park entrance. If you're at the Disney, that's at the Disneyland Park. If you're at Disney California Adventure Park, they're usually near the end of Buena Vista Street, near Carthay Circle. If you want to see the princesses, when you walk right into Disneyland Park, a lot of times there are princesses right there in front of the train station. There, you can get pictures taken with them. Of course, there's also Royal Hall at Fantasy Fair in the middle of the Disneyland Park. And if you want to see Anna and Elsa, they're in Hollywoodland at the Animation Building at the Disney California Adventure Park. But what I really want to talk about is those random characters that you run into as you're walking along. Yes.
I want to say a little something about people. If you are going to one of these character breakfasts or dinners and you haven't done that before, bring your autograph book.
Yes.
Every character comes to every table and spends time with you. So it is a great opportunity to get pictures, to interact with the characters. So I just want people to understand that it's not just where you have to go line up to see the characters at that. They actually come to you at your table.
Absolutely. And it also is on Disney Cruise Line. I know Ryan and Leslie here are going on Disney Cruise soon. They will have a character breakfast there on your cruise. You got two of them because you're going on a 2-week cruise. That's nice. So you'll have that opportunity there as well. And also you're going on the Wonder. So at Tiana's place, it's basically a character. I mean, it's only a couple characters, but it's almost a character dinner every time you go there because Tiana goes around the tables. So does Louie.
Right.
Louie will come around to the tables as well. So, and that's always, and Tiana is great. She's an excellent host at her place. So you can look forward to that. So that's good. Again, back to what I was talking about before. I'm going to talk about the random chance character meetings. And we have our favorite one because it happens to us every time we're there. Because one thing we've decided that this is the reason why. We've seen some pictures of Michelle at Run Disney races. She was at the Chalk Walk recently. She likes to dress up as Tinkerbell quite often.
Right.
I consider her Tinkerbell. She has a lot of Tinkerbell clothes. She has a Tinkerbell purse. She is Tinkerbell. So we feel we always run into Peter Pan, always at the park, or in random times because he's looking for Tinkerbell and he just senses Tinkerbell out of
aura.
Michelle.
That's right.
So if you're looking for Peter Pan, you can often find him running around. He's right in front of Tomorrowland is where you usually see him. There's a restroom over there that there's a gate that he comes out of, and he goes and heads over towards Pixie Hollow, where of course you can actually meet with Tinkerbell and the other fairies. But you'll a lot of times run into him in that area around there. Some other characters that are fun to run into. If you're at the Mad Tea Party or Alice in Wonderland attractions kind of in between there, oftentimes you'll run into Alice and the Mad Hatter, and they're always a kick to run into when you're just roaming around. They're a lot of fun. You might also see them at the refreshment corner where the Mad Hatter sometimes will go and play a little piano for everybody, which is always a lot of fun. Gaston. I got to a villain a little bit early here, but Gaston is often strolling around through Fantasyland, and he's, of course, looking for Belle.
Right.
And also trying to, tell everybody how good he looks, but he's a lot of fun to run into out there. Beast is also strolling through Fantasyland, and if you see Beast strolling through Fantasyland, often Belle is somewhere nearby. So if you're looking for a chance to get a quick picture, a quick autograph with Belle, if you see Beast, Belle is usually somewhere nearby around. So not always, but sometimes. If you're looking for... you can often find Cinderella's fairy godmother. Where do you think you can find Cinderella's fairy godmother?
Cinderella's fairy godmother? Probably by the castle or...
How about by the Bippity Boppity Boutique?
Oh, sure.
Yes, that is often where you can find her. You can find Tiana. We were just talking about Tiana. Often she's in and around New Orleans Square. I talked about Peter Pan, Mary Poppins and Bert. They're often somewhat near Pixie Hollow, kind of out front there, or sometimes by the Matterhorn bobsleds, sometimes in between there. And you can often see them strolling in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle on their way to Jolly Holiday Bakery, of course.
Right.
Where else would they go? Pixar characters, if you're looking for them, that you can find over a lot at Disney California Adventure Park, and of course, where else? Pixar Pier. So you can find Woody, Jesse, Mike, Sully. You can often find them a lot over there. If you liked Zootopia, you're looking for Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps, you can often find them at Disney California Adventure Park, kind of in between. If you know where Grizzly River Run is and Pixar Pier, there's a strip there, and also Little Mermaid, Ariel's Undersea Adventure. There's a little strip there. There's not much there. There's a couple shops. There's a restroom there, but they're often camped out around there. You can run into them. I know you had a picture with Nick Wilde about a year ago.
Right. It's great because it's not an area that a lot of people go to. So usually the line there is pretty minimal and you can get through it pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And new character that we've seen around at Disneyland Park often now is Red, who is, of course, the redheaded pirate woman from the Pirates of the Caribbean. You can find her, and she is fun. We run into her a couple of times, and she complimented on you on your hair
color. Yes.
Because if you don't know, Michelle is also a redhead, but she's often strolling around the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction, and sometimes we've seen her strolling through Adventureland as well on the way there. If you like villains are fun to always run into because they're just a hoot and a half. My favorite one is Cruella de Vil.
Right. I was wondering if you were going to talk about her.
She's great when you run into her. She is snarky and it's wonderful. You can often see her up and down Main Street, USA, and there's a lot of times down at the Rotunda down there as well. The Evil Queen from Snow White, we saw her last time we were there, and she's often down kind of by where I was talking about with Mary Poppins and Bert at the near between the Alice in Wonderland attraction and Pixie Hollow, kind of by the Matterhorn bobsleds. And Dr. Facilier, who from Princess and the Frog, is often in New Orleans Square. And of course, we can't get out without Star Wars. Stormtroopers are always in Tomorrowland. They're walking around, they're interviewing people, they're trying to, check and see what your papers are, if you're part of the Rebel Alliance or you're part of the Resistance. So you can always run into them around there. So keep your eyes open when you're in the parks. Yes, there are the set places where you can run into these characters, but you never know if you're just walking around, you look to your right, there's a character right there. You can get a picture quickly, get a quick autograph, and sometimes you won't have to wait in one of those lines.
Exactly.
So take advantage of that.
Awesome tip.
Thanks. Before we go here, anybody from our studio audience have any questions they'd like for us to answer here? Ryan, of course.
Sure.
I knew Ryan would get in here for something.
You can't keep me quiet for too long.
Yes, Ryan is an old radio friend of mine as well as a OG Hyperion adventurer here, so I knew I'd get him behind the mic at some point.
I tried to stay quiet in the corner for a little while. But first, we were at Disney World last year, and thank you for your tips because I was emailing you, calling you, and I at some point mentioned, we're going to be in Orlando. I figured a couple days at Disney World, and you chastised me. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about? 2 days? I figured it's like, So we went for 3 or 4 days or whatever, but next time will be a week.
Even a week. You don't get everything. We've talked about this on the air before or on the podcast. It's for people who know Disneyland. A couple of days is good. You don't really need to do more.
How long do I really need to spend it?
Yes.
You're there for a week and you didn't nearly get everything done at the Walt Disney World. It really is a Walt Disney World. It's different altogether.
It's its own city.
Yeah, it's its own country.
Right. It is. It's pretty. That was shocking. So, Pixar Pier. You mentioned that was in what you said podcast 3 or whatever.
I think it was the third. It was the
right. It was early on.
California Adventure Park. Anything that stands out of the improvements or things that are the biggest changes that.
The food there is interesting. They have a lot of different interesting little food stands there. I mean, mostly the biggest thing with the overlays, the what they put out there as far as the theming of the park. The theming of it is much better than what it was before. It just seemed kind of displaced before. I mean, it was they're trying to go for like a Santa Monica Pier type thing, and I got it, but it just didn't really fit that well. They've kind of captured the theme so much of Pixar throughout it, including even a lot of it is the same. They still have the boardwalk games and everything, but they themed it to different, Pixar movies and shorts even. Some of the best shorts that they had, some of the games are themed to that.
Okay.
It just is, it's more cohesive now, it seems like to me. That's the biggest thing I got out of it.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. Especially with Midway Mania, it just seemed a little clunky being there, before, and now it totally blends with it. And now that they have that theming, they can build from that. So they can have like the new Inside Out ride that's going to be coming up or attraction that's going to be coming up. So it kind of helps bring, like you said, a cohesiveness to it.
An Inside Out ride,
Yeah, it's called the emotional whirlwind.
Okay.
Yes.
It's actually what they're doing is they're taking something out of Bugs Land that was Flicks Flyers or something like that.
Yes.
And they're repurposing it. And
Is Bugs Land still there?
Bugs Land closed a couple weeks ago. I think it was the 4th of September was when they closed it to.
Okay.
Then they're repurposing that into a Marvel area soon. So
It could just be Ant-Man.
I have the they haven't said what they're going to do with the
Right.
space. I was like, you don't have to do much to it to make it Ant-Man area, to make it because it's all already built out
Right,
for that.
right.
So
Okay. Well, since Disney Cruise Line is our thing, we're about to go on a
Right.
cruise. My mom is about
which
to go
I'm very
on.
excited for you about.
Yeah.
I'm very
Me-
jealous. As
Me
well.
too. I'm excited and jealous of myself. Why
do you say so myself?
Yeah, but I'm helping. My mom's about to take a cruise. I think a week or two before on the Wonder.
Okay.
So they're going, and she's been on a cruise before. So she mentioned, I asked her, does she have any questions for the podcast?
Nice.
Because she's watching our girls right now. And she didn't have any questions, but her tips were, how do you find your room if you forget your number? Because they're traveling with special needs kids.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, metal door. Put a magnet on the door so that you can identify your room.
Awesome.
For
That is
people
a
who
great
may not
tip.
remember the numbers.
Right.
Little
That's
kids,
perfect.
our girls, if
Yes.
they get lost, they may not remember the number, but they can know the room.
Right.
And know that in disembarkation that you need to pack a day bag for the next day.
Right.
Don't be the person left with only your pajamas because you put your put your
Right.
bags out the night before.
Exactly.
And you don't want to be getting off the boat in the morning
No.
in just your pajamas.
Make sure
No.
you have your forms for going
Right.
through customs and such.
Right. That
don't
whole
pack
thing.
Those, yeah.
But really, I had another question, a Disney Cruise Line question, and that is special needs. My mom's about to go. She hasn't gone. She hasn't gone by herself before, and she's going and traveling with three special needs adults. But so they're adults. They can't get into the kids club. But I know
Right.
Disney Cruise Line is really good. Disney in general is really good with special needs. Any suggestions, tips? I know I pestered you probably 2 years ago when we went on the fantasy, but
There's activities going on through various different types of activities and family activities as well
Right.
that kids and adults can take part in as well. And sometimes a lot of these special need adults / children kind of fall in between that. We have our son who
Right.
is a special needs, but he's an adult. He's 27 now.
26.
26.
Yeah.
26 now. Yet he still, watches a lot of child,
it's
videos and such. So,
Right.
half 10, half 30.
Exactly.
Right,
it's-
right,
you know,
exactly.
just depends on the time and the moment.
So you just kind of got to find that nice balance. And Michelle,
Right.
you probably better to speak on this than me.
Well, in the areas where they have the kids clubs areas and things, there's a lot of times too that it's open either, like you said, families can go in, or the adults can accompany them, and so that's an opportunity. And it's usually, interestingly, less crowded then, so that's a great time to go in. Then they can interact with a lot of the computer games there and some of the other games. They do have the counselors there who might who will be involved in some things. So that's another way. Like if they don't like large crowds or very loud crowds, that's another way that they can actually get into the game room areas and play some games. And then, like you said, Disney's always been very willing to really make sure everybody has a great time. And so it's depending also on what the person is able to do, that they're willing to accommodate. Like somebody may be a little bit older that they might let into a different, like the tween club or something if they're similar in age, etc. Because like our son, when he was younger, he went with the younger kids. It just, once it becomes a size issue, then sometimes that plays into it. But, they're really working with you. And the best thing to do is to talk to their counselors and find out what can they offer you, because they may have ideas that you wouldn't have thought of, we wouldn't have thought of, but they're always willing to explore and looking at, okay, what are the person's issues or limitations that, they want to be sensitive to and yet still provide them some fun and entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah. Bottom line, ask.
Yes.
The cast members are always willing to help.
Right.
If you just ask them, and that's the best way to find out what they have available and what you can do. And they're great. They've always
Right.
treated us very well.
Exactly.
We've never had an issue.
Right.
they want to make sure everybody has the best trip possible, and that goes not only for Disney Cruise Line, that goes at the parks as well.
Right.
We had an episode just a little bit back on Disney with Disabilities,
Right,
and all they
exactly.
did for this person we had on who was has some visual struggles. And actually had an emergency while he was on the trip, and how much they helped him out. So
Right,
they're
right.
always willing to help.
The other nice things about the cruise is they have like the movies by the pool. So like if our son doesn't really like to go into a movie theater, so that's a great way to get to see some movies is out by the pool. Easy
With a
access.
piece of pizza in
I was just
Nottingham?
going to say easy access to pizza.
I have definitely skipped, the dining room. Everybody's texting.
Right.
Where are you? We got cheap pizza hanging
Right.
out at the pool.
Exactly.
Watching
Nothing
a
wrong with
movie.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
You say hi to our staff. We're not going to
Exactly.
be there.
By the way, speaking of the pizza place, and I don't know if you've experienced this yet on the Wonder, but at nights sometimes they do this pretzel thing. That's a cinnamon pretzel with cream cheese in it that is magnificent.
They don't
You
announce
just
it.
They don't
excited
announce it.
Leslie.
Yeah,
She's
they-
ready for the cruise. She was not ready for the cruise. Now she can't wait.
They don't.
Yes.
They don't announce it, so you have to go and ask at the pizzeria when they're going to have it, and see if they have it. But it's wonderful. It's everything. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay. I promise we will not miss that.
probably if you're on a 2-week cruise, you can probably have it multiple times.
Right,
So-
right,
And
yeah.
don't forget the Mickey bars.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
there are Mickey bars served. They don't even ask. After night 2, the dinner staff brings that to our
Yes.
girls without
Nice,
asking.
nice.
Perfect.
It's pretty much
Absolutely.
Perfect.
they are
Yeah.
Mickey bars through and through.
And what else? Oh yeah, somebody at some point someone has to, then they ask you what you
Right.
want for dessert. Someone has to say nothing.
Oh, yes. That's all we'll say.
Okay.
Yeah. Just be brave. Don't be afraid.
Okay. I will.
Say nothing.
I'm not going to tell you what it is, but
Okay.
and I don't know if you know our coffee tip. I gave this last week, but if you like coffee in the morning, I mean it's cruise line coffee. It is what it is. But if you want coffee in your room when you wake up in the morning, order a pot the night before you go to bed. When you order Mickey bars, order cookies, whatever to the room that night, or just order a pot of coffee. It'll stay warm until the next morning. So when you get up in the morning, it's still warm. You can just pour yourself a cup when
Nice.
you wake up.
Okay.
Right.
It's one of my favorite tips.
Yes. It was a great one.
Right before I go hunt to get everybody else breakfast.
Right,
When they
right.
don't want to get up and
Yeah.
we have a princess something or breakfast that's at like 9 o'clock.
That is exactly why you
Okay,
do that.
okay,
That
get
way,
coffee
get you
first
going
thing.
before. How many? You can still
I
be
got to
in your
get up
PJs
and
and
everybody else stays in the room.
Yep.
One more thing about traveling with individuals with disabilities on the Disney cruise. Some people aren't comfortable going into the dining rooms, and I know that's a big experience, and people don't want to miss it. But there are sometimes that it's overwhelming.
Tiana's can be loud, right?
Yes, yes.
There's a band playing there,
Okay.
so it can be a little loud at times.
So just at the very beginning of the cruise, let your servers know, or if you can't even get into the first night, go to the podium when they're letting people in and let them know, and they will let you have the meal in your room. I know that they don't like to publicize that. They don't want people calling room service, but if you really share what the issue is, again, they want everybody to have a great experience. And if somebody can't get to the dining room due to issues with their disabilities, or and I've experienced this. And
yeah, we deal with this. Scott won't
Right.
go into the dining room. so
Right.
sorry.
And so they're wonderful about, taking your order and bringing it to your room. And, so it's really touching that they go through those experiences to make sure you're having a good time.
Okay, definitely. Thank you.
All right.
I'm just excited for you to be going on this
Yeah,
cruise.
yeah.
I wish we were stowing
Well-
away with you.
We'll probably bring you back on afterwards to
there's
tell
still-
us about your experience.
There are still apparently rooms.
I know.
But apparently not at a deal price. No.
We're talking actually about possibly doing the cruise that you're doing, only going the other way, and possibly doing that in 2020 maybe.
Right.
There should be a sort of a big anniversary year for our relationship, but we might
Yeah.
splurge on that cruise. We've talked about it many times in the past, but we may do it in 2020, but going the other way.
You should do it.
Yeah.
And do you pre-book? That on a? Well, I guess you said you're just going through like Costco or through various.
I always recommend some sort of travel agent. We won't sell, since they're not paying us. If they
Right.
want to pay us, I will be happy to advertise for any travel
Right.
agent.
But
We don't advertise for them on this podcast. But I always recommend for cruises, especially dealing with a travel agent one, because sometimes you get some little extra stuff involved, not always, but sometimes. But also, if something should go a little crooked for whatever reason,
They canceled our trip. Got canceled
yeah.
this summer. We were at the fair, and we get a call from our travel agent. Said, "Did you get this notice? Your room's been canceled."
Yeah.
Ugh.
Because they moved from 120 days to 90 days that your payment is due.
That's
Yeah,
right. They changed
we
that
never
policy.
got that email,
Yeah.
and
Right.
so they canceled our room.
It's good to have somebody there as kind of a buffer, someone
Right.
as a point person if something goes. And I also recommend for cruises, not for much other travel, but I do recommend some sort of travel insurance for a lot of
Right.
cruises just because it's the sea, you're going to other countries. Insurance can be tricky if it's something where if your trip fall, whatever, it's sometimes good. And it doesn't have to be necessarily the Disney specific
Right.
insurance. There are some other outside companies. Again, they don't advertise with us, so we're not going to tell you who they are. But there are some other, you can research it. There are some other travel insurance companies. I don't do them for a lot of trips, but for cruises, I like to do it because things, it's the ocean. Things can change, and it's, you should be prepared for that. Yes. So that's it. Thank you again, Ryan. Thank you for our whole
Yes. Yay.
studio audience here. So nice to
Yay.
have a bunch of people here with us for the first
Right.
time, and we, not just talking to each other.
Right.
As much as I love doing that,
I know.
it's nice to have some more people join us.
Right.
And we appreciate you that are out there, that you join us every week. You guys are the best. We're getting more listeners every week, and we really, really appreciate you. Next week, just so you can keep tuned and be ready for our next episode, we are personally going up to the Disneyland Resort.
Yeah.
And
Can't
we're
wait.
going to check out all the Halloween stuff. And we're going to talk about the Halloween stuff that's out there right now. If you're thinking about going up there, what you can expect when you're going to the Disneyland Resort. And by the way, we're going to be out there on Saturday. If you happen to see us walking around and you're a listener of the podcast, come up and say hi to us. We'd
Right.
love to hear from you. We'd love to talk with you. So hopefully we'll see you out there. Either way, we'll see you here next Sunday. We'll be talking all about it, and we're looking forward to it. You can follow. We'll have to post a lot of pictures on social media. You can find us on social media. On Twitter, we're at Hyperion Podcast. Facebook and Instagram, at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. On the web, we do have a website, HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. You can email us, please, if you have any questions to ask, if you want something else to talk about, if you have some tips of your own that you'd like to share with some of our listeners. We'd love to hear from you. Hyperion Adventures Podcast at gmail.com. Of course, you can find us on the 1057max.com website if you're looking for our podcast. It is under the Max Plus tab. We're also on the Max FM app. If you want to hear us in the future, you can catch us there. You can catch us on SoundCloud. You can catch us on Stitcher. Subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play Music. And the next episode, this one's a little later than it normally comes. We almost always do these on Sundays. Usually our podcast comes out around 2. Today, it's already almost 4:30. This one will probably come out by around 6. So it could, just to let you know when it comes out, it'll announce it right to you when we have a new episode. So, and if you get a chance, please, 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 just give us a little rating. Maybe if you have a little longer, a review really helps others just like you find our podcast, and it helps us in so many ways. We just want to get out there and expand this Hyperion Adventure family to as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's right. And again, thank you everybody for taking the time. I know this was a little longer episode. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have here. It's been a real pleasure having some guests join us. And we actually have a very special guest who's going to help us close out the show. Ready?
See you real soon.
Who's your favorite character?
Minnie and Mickey.
You like Minnie and Mickey? She's so cute.
She is. She's
so cute.
adorable.
So that's it. That's it for this week. See you real soon, as she was going to say.
Right, right.
Thank you again for listening to the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. And until that time, I'm Tom,
I'm Michelle.
and we hope you have a magical week.